On your feet! Get them going!
Good. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good morning. Hi, everyone. It's Cross Examinations. I'm your host, Mike S. Miller. I am here to talk about Jesus, pop culture, modern politics. I don't know, man. I got nothing. I got no clear path for today. So, what do you guys want to talk about? Let me know. Title of the show is "What's Good?" Cause what is good? I didn't even no show prep. Last thing I saw, I was on X, and there was this thing about the Muslims are trying to make it so it's illegal to walk your dog because dogs are unclean animals in Britain. So that's always fun. Muslims demand locals don't walk dogs in public because it's a violation of Sharia and disrespects them. I believe clear out that I just took a shower and then suddenly like I started draining and I'm like, what's going on? It can't be the coffee because I've been drinking this for a little bit. It is so windy today. It's crazy. Is there a storm blowing in on the Pacific side? Zeta says, never trust someone that doesn't like dogs. Dags. Do you like dags? I like dogs. I just don't want a dog. I don't. I have no interest in following around a creature to pick up their poop. Sorry, it's bad. I've had 5 kids. I've had to do that enough with the. Anyways, let's say hello. What's up, Tina? Corpse Grinder. What's good in what way? I'll let you decide. What's subjectively good? Justin's here. What's up? Dustin's here. Justin and Dustin, Corpse Grinder and Bob, Tina and Zeta. Where's Jeff Potts, that slob? I was trying to make a rhyme. So, anyways, can't wait to hear about Christ from that dude from Mortal Kombat. Oh, shoot. That's what I should have made. Drew Struzan died. Drew Struzan died today. If those of you who don't know who Drew Struzan is, if you watched any movies in the 80s and early 90s, you will have seen his work because it was probably the cover or the movie poster or the cover of the VHS. He was that airbrush artist who defined. He did all the Star Wars posters, the Indiana Jones posters, Chevy Chase Funny Farm. I don't know why that one comes to mind. He did all kinds of movie posters. Yeah, I wanted to be Drew Struzan when I was in high school. Seriously, I wanted to grow up and do movie posters like Drew's. Really, really good. I did not choose that path because shortly thereafter, Photoshop came into play and handmade, airbrushed, beautiful movie posters became sort of a rarity. Yeah, you missed that? Yeah, I just saw that. So my singular interaction with Drew Struzan was at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm trying to remember what year it was. It was probably around 30 years ago. And I saw him, and I had heard that he was a Christian. And so I went up to him, and I said, Drew, Mr. Struzan, I heard you were a Christian. And he's like busy signing stuff and crowd around him. He's like, of course I'm a Christian. I'm an American, aren't I? Which was funny. Back then, I found that to be so flippant of an answer that I sort of disregarded. It's like, oh, this is a cultural Christian, right? But as I get older and more political in my ways, and I'm wondering if it wasn't so cultural as it was patriotic. I mean, I'll never know until I see whether or not he made it to the resurrection. But hopefully he did. Such an amazing artist. Such an amazing artist. And may flights of angels carry you home. I wish I'd have had a better chance to talk to the guy. I don't know anybody who knew him personally. I probably do, but we never talked about it. I know people in Hollywood and whatnot. And he did. Oh, wait. He did some comic book covers for Wildstorm. So I guarantee I know someone who knows him. What did he do? I think he did something for... Oh, I'm drawing a blank. Sorry. Tina says, Mike, dogs are high maintenance. You got to walk them, let them in and out, pick up their poop, bathe them, groom them, feed them, etc., etc. I prefer cats because they're much easier. Me too. I'm a cat guy just because I'm lazy. I'm not. No, I don't need a high maintenance animal. Thank you very much. I already have high maintenance people. I miss airbrushed art. I know. I did. I learned. I took up airbrushing in 1988 at California State Summer School for the Arts. I met one of the guys across the dorm. This is where I met my wife, by the way. His name was Crockett. Toenail. Ron Crockett. He ended up moving in with me a few years later. But that's not the point. And he was just a phenomenal airbrush artist. And so he was like everything else at California State Summer School for the Arts. You're just kind of there and you're doing these classes and you're having whatever. I did some printing and some whatever, like all different art projects. The thing I took away most from it, however, was learning how to airbrush from my neighbor. There was no airbrushing class there. And I learned how to airbrush from Ron. And I went home and I went hog wild. I started, I bought my own setup. I actually started doing, do I have it in here? I think maybe it's in the garage. I did some pretty good airbrushing stuff. I took airbrushing in college. Not that I had to, but just so I had a place to do bigger pieces. And I worked airbrushing at the mall. I was one of those guys, airbrushing stuff on shirts at the mall. I miss using my airbrush. I have an old Pache. No, I had the good ones. I can't remember what it was called, though. What were the really good, expensive airbrushes? I have one in here somewhere. Where did I put it? Where is it? I know I have it in here. I think it's under my desk somewhere. But yeah, it was so much fun, and it was I wanted to do all that fun, awesome Drew Struzan stuff, but I was never that good. Drew was amazing, and I don't know what he's been doing or if he's been retired or what. I mean, his the calling for his work just ain't what it used to be because he was a busy, constant presence in movie theaters. Like you always go to the movie and there's a Drew Struzan movie poster, right? But yeah, rest in peace, Drew. Hopefully we'll see you on the other side. Cool, Mike. I used to love watching those people do that in the mall or at the beach, airbrush art. Yeah, I ended up working. I worked at the mall. I worked for the guys at the mall. They also had a stand at the flea market. So they actually had me go out to the flea market once or twice. Drew developed Alzheimer's. Really? It's terrible. He needed more butter and cholesterol in his diet. That is too bad. That is sad. Sad to hear. Sad to hear. It really is sort of a lost art, you know. It's like now people think airbrush, they think a brush in Photoshop or on whatever. Raja JQ. Welcome, Raja JQ. What's your story? Tell me what you're doing here. How'd you find us? Man, this wind. Matt, is it as like crazy windy over at your house too? My tree is just going like, it's kind of insane. At any rate, there's that. And again, there's the, Muslims demanding locals don't walk their dogs. That's, whoa. Oh, Steve Hilton just took the #1 spot in California's governor's race, beating Democrat Katie Porter 29-23 once voters heard his message. Nice. I saw Steve Hilton at that Turning Point USA thing. He's actually friends with my wife's best friend. So that'd be great. Let's scroll through and see if there's anything else we're talking about, since none of you guys are asking many good questions. My new patio setup got rained on. Well, it's a patio setup. It's going to get rained on. I think I found your buddy in a Facebook group, Ron Crockett. I can't click on Facebook because I've been banned. So, sorry, Tina. Is he long-haired, redhead with a bass or a guitar in his hand? Did he say squirrel through? Squirrel through? I don't think I said squirrel through. I may have said something. Anyways, I'm now just scrolling through Twitter to see if there's anything worth talking about. Otherwise, a lot of crypto stuff. But then again, I follow a lot of crypto stuff. Oh, Alex Jones says the left plans to assassinate more conservative political leaders once the Civil War officially kicks off. That's interesting. Stripe now supports subscription payments in crypto, stablecoins to be precise. But there you go. Crypto moving into the mainstream. I was going to buy a tarp before it rained. Well, now it's too late. You've been rained on. Although, if you want to keep your patio set up from deteriorating really quickly, tarp it. Patio furniture. Wow, the sun just is really brutal. I mean, Matt, you'd be the first one to say it, right? The sun's really brutal out here. It just destroys patio. I can't tell. It's all black and white photo. Four hippie dudes. Oh, because it's black and white. You can't tell if he's read it. Yeah, it's probably him. Tina is sending me stuff. Is that my buddy? That's Rowdy Piper, Tina. I mean, evil plans evil. We pray against it. Yes. Tina, I'm not sure if you meant to send me that picture, but that was Rowdy Piper. That's not my friend, Ron. All right. I'm going to keep scrolling. Wait, all right. Not notifications. I need to be on the home tab so I can see what's new and popping. Trump says they can't take advantage of us. I never do this. Like, I just scrolling through Twitter to find something to talk about. Why am I even doing a show? Should we? Dang it, you're right. It was in his Facebook thing. I'm sorry. Tina, you should know who Rowdy Piper is. Come on. Especially, she posts a picture from They Live. Dana. I think Dana is developing Alzheimer's. Like literally, the They Live guy is right behind him. She's like, I'm sorry, that's terrible. All right, I know you're right. I was just trying to hurry before you moved on to something. It's all good. It's all good, man. It's all good, man. Sorry about that. All right. Let's see what else is going on. Joe Biden says, I am deeply grateful and relieved that this day has come. I'm not sure if he wrote it because I think he has Alzheimer's too. For the last living 20 hostages who have been through unimaginable hell and are finally reunited with their families and loved ones. And for the civilians in Gaza who have experienced immeasurable loss and will finally get the chance to rebuild their lives. The road to this deal was not easy. My administration worked relentlessly to bring hostages home, to get relief to Palestinian civilians, and end the war. I commend President Trump and his team for their work to get a renewed ceasefire deal over the finish line. Now, with the backing of the United States and the world, the Middle East is a path to peace I can hope endures for the future, and Israelis and Palestinians alike. So, so Joe Biden is posting, trying to take credit for the peace deal. I'm glad you got it over the finish line. Obviously, my administration ran most of the race. You just needed to push it over the finish line. Yeah. I'm having a senior moment. So is Joe Biden, or whoever's writing his X account. I commend Trump for doing what I couldn't even start. I mean, to be fair, I don't think it was under Biden's administration. I don't know that his administration had any part in it, but most of the hostages were returned during his administration. And Trump did finally get the last. Why were they holding on to the last ones? 2 years. And then someone was posting like they returned the Palestinian detainees and prisoners. This is such an imbalanced trade. It was like 1,700 Palestinians returned for the small handful of Israelis that were returned. And people were complaining. They're like, did you see the Palestinians? They're emaciated. They couldn't walk. They're malnutrition, blah, blah, blah. So I looked up like how many Palestinians died under being held by the Israelis and how many of the Israeli hostages died. And obviously you'd have to do this per capita for it to make sense. 0.7% of the Palestinians held by Israel died under their detainment ship. It's not hostages because they were arrested probably for attacking stuff. Big difference, right? You hold somebody for doing something wrong. That's arresting and detaining. You kidnap someone, an innocent person who's trying to go about their life. That's a hostage. So big difference there. The percentage of Palestinians who died was 0.7%. Anybody want to guess the percentage of Israelis who died as hostages? Never mind the 1,200 people who were murdered. Anyone want to guess? 14%. That is a 2,000% increase in the number of Israelis who died under Palestinian 14% is low for them, to be honest. Well, they were using them as hostages, right? They weren't using them just, I mean, they murdered plenty of friggin' people that day. You know, FAFO. Don't want none, don't start none. They started a fight they couldn't win. Honestly, I'm glad there's peace. I'm a big fan of peace, you know, big peace fan. But here's the thing. We nuked Japan because we needed them to surrender, not to just be like, okay, we're not surrendering, but let's just call it peace. Let's just call for peace. Are you surrendering? We're not surrendering per se. We're just calling for peace. See, in Islam, when you sign, there's this thing called taqiyya, right? And part of taqiyya, I believe, is that a peace deal, a surrender, is only for you to reorganize your army, and then so that you can attack again. So for them, it's a tactic to recoup so they can attack you again. And that is the purpose of surrender in Islam. So so honestly, although they didn't surrender, I mean, it's the purpose of like a treaty. Treaties in Islam are not good faith treaties. They're not like, oh, good, let's have peace from here on out. It's like, good, you stop attacking us so we can rebuild our army so we can attack you again. Before the population of the Earth reached 1 billion human beings, Islam had murdered 240 million of those. Not saying all at one time, so it's not like they just suddenly killed a quarter of the population of the planet, but over hundreds of years. Over the hundreds of years between Muhammad and the population of the Earth reaching 1 billion human beings, Islam had murdered 240 million of them. That's insane. It sounds like American colonists making deals with the native people. Could you give me specific examples of that? Yeah, we conquered the natives. I don't know if you know that, Grinder. Well, here's a weird thing about this. Everyone says Americans, but you're right. It was not. Here's the thing. The colonies were just the 13 colonies, right? They worked out whatever it did. And here's another interesting thing. Say I don't believe, or say you don't believe in personal property rights, right? You're a socialist. You don't believe there's such a thing as personal property rights. And I come along and I'm a capitalist, and I do believe in personal property rights. And I see a thing on the floor. It's a lovely piece of obsidian, right? And you as a socialist says, that obsidian belongs to everyone. And me as a capitalist pick it up and say, mine, and put it in my pocket. Do you can't really make an argument, right? Because you're like, but no, that belongs to everyone. And I say, no, I believe in personal property rights. This is mine. And then you try to take it from me, and I can kill you because you're trying to steal from me, right? You'll own nothing and be happy about it. If the city belongs to everyone, how can there be colonialism? Well, I'm trying to make that point, basically. So socialism has personal property too. Depends on what level of socialism you're in. Anyways, the point being, when the colonists came over and they bought Manhattan Island, which the Indians thought they were ripping off the colonists. You know that, right? They're like, you can't own an island. And so they're like, oh, yeah, we'll take some of them beads. Give me them beads, baby. And here's the thing about the beads, though. Oh my gosh, why is my ringer on? Oh, because I wanted to make sure I got notifications from my daughter. All right. This is just gonna squirrel. So originally the beads had value. The beads were money in Native American culture because they would find stones or shells or whatever, and they would grind them and work them and turn them into something pretty and of value. So like polished, it would look like polished glass, right? You might find some piece of obsidian or a piece of quartz or something, and you'd grind it and polish it and make it, and it'll take a long time to make it something of value, right? So the beads to the natives were money and high value. That was the value of their money. When the Europeans came over, they had glass beads. Glass beads, it was essentially, to the Native Americans, it was like counterfeit money. They maybe, I don't even know, they would trade goods, beaver pelts and freaking axes, whatever. It's like they trade hard value stuff for these glass beads, because to them these glass beads looked like they were as valuable as the beads they used for money. So it's kind of like counterfeit money, because the glass beads, you can just pop those out. And so to them, what they thought was like a big stash of valuable beads, to the English, it was like, oh yeah, that was like 50 cents worth of beads to us. Right? Deals with devils. No such thing as a soul. Yeah, I'll take that pretty necklace. Same people. We didn't know. Can we have our property back, please? Okay, so anyways, the property, it honestly doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter. You know what Manhattan was? It was a big empty island. Nobody gave a damn about. That's why the Native Americans, the native tribe, was like, yeah, good. We'll give me those beads, baby, and you can have that land. And then what happened was the settlers came and they developed the land into something of value. Right? It's like you just traded for the raw material. It's like you gave me how would this work? I'm the colonist, you're the Indian. I bought a piece of paper and a pencil from you, right? And you thought you got the better end of the deal. You're like, this sucker just bought that pencil and paper from me. There's nothing on that paper, and that pencil's right down to the nub. And then I draw something with my skill. I develop that paper with that pencil into something of enormous monetary value because I am a world famous artist. And then you're the Indian trying to be an Indian giver saying, hey, I want that paper and pencil back. You ripped me off. It's worth $1,000 now, but you only gave me $2 for it. And I'm like, but I put all the time and the effort into developing that paper and pencil into something of enormous value. You just gave me raw materials, or I just bought raw materials off of you. Because look around the world, man. Look around America. There's plenty of perfectly worthless islands. There's plenty of perfectly worthless land. This planet, I hate to break it to you, is 95% empty. Like 95% damn nearly unpopulated. That's why our flyover state, you call them flyover states? We have flyover states with lower populations than small cities in other states. So, yeah, sorry, no Indian giving. That's why it's called Indian giving, right? Because they want it back. The Treaty of Fort Laramie, which was violated after the discovery of gold in the Black Hills. Oh. Yeah, that's not good. Look, it's not a it's not a good thing. And obviously there were bad people who did bad things. But you can blame that on greed, right? This isn't about greed. This is about Israel. This is Islam. This is Islam, a religious common practice in a religion accorded by that religion, right? What you're saying here, even if these guys were Christians, is that something that Christ would tell them to do, Grinder? Is that, you think Jesus would be like, hey, you know what you should do? You should lie to these people. You should break your word. I know that whole thing about me saying, let your yes and be yes and your no be no and anything else is evil. I know I said that, but really what I meant was break your treaties, break your word, and be greedy and steal from people. Is that the message you think Christ was delivering? Because that's what we're talking about. When you're talking about Christianity versus Islam, we're talking about what would Christ do versus what did Muhammad do? Right? That's the difference here. All of socialism is out the door. That land is everyone's, man. Treaty of Hopewell. This treaty was immediately violated while as white settlers began encroaching on the protected lands of the Cherokee, Choctaw, and Chickasaw nations soon after it was signed. That's all right. I don't have a lot of tears for the Native Americans, I'll be honest with you. Sorry. I know my kids are all Chiricahua, part Chiricahua, which is Apache. But look, they were out there torturing, slaughtering, murdering each other gleefully for hundreds or thousands of years before we got here. And now, you know what? They're not doing that anymore. Isn't that nice? The Native Americans are no longer out there. The Aztecs and the Comanche are no longer in a blood feud. They're no longer in a blood feud trying to decimate each other's tribes. Isn't that nice? Instead, they're opening casinos and making all their money off the white man, all the horrible white men that came and turned this country into something of actual value. You know what this continent would be without the white man? Grinder? Because there's a place in China called Mongolia. You can go there and you can see their native Mongols still living exactly as they did in 1200 AD. So probably very similar to the way the Native Americans lived, the Mongols lived at the same time. The Mongols still to this day have never progressed. They still live their yurt life. I don't know. Maybe the white man should go to Mongolia and turn it into something of value. Is Jesus God? Yes. Did God give promised land to people that had already been living there? So, you know where Israel is? Oh, you're talking about like the Canaanites. Yes. Who white people I know. Did God tell him to kill all those people on the promised land? Yes. I think your God would be fine with colonizing by the sword. You cannot take a unique promise, a unique situation, and make it ubiquitous to every situation. God didn't promise all of the Middle East to the Jews. He said, from the river to the sea. Ironic, right? From the river to the sea. That is your promised land. And that's why they want the river to the sea. That you give this one piece of land, and he used the Israelites as a punishment for the people that were there who had gone so bad. Child sacrifice, kind of like America. Except it was much more visible then because they were actually burning children alive on the Moloch statues. But anyways, human sacrifice have to stop too, right? Well, unless you consider, I know. Yeah, and it's funny because we only ever really talk about American abortion, right? Because we're in America and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so bad here. It's worse in Brazil. Brazil has the worst. Well, actually, I haven't looked this up in a while, so I'm not sure if. Well, you know what? Why don't we look it up now? What countries have the worst abortion rate per capita in the last, let's call it 5 years? The worst abortion rate per capita. Oh my gosh, we're not even in the top 10. Holy crap. As bad as it is here, we're not even in the top 10. Oh, this is the dumbest. Do you still believe the smallpox myth? We didn't even have theories on germ warfare. We didn't even know what germs were. You still believe in the smallpox myth? Okay, so Uganda. Highest unintended pregnancy rate globally, 145 per 1,000. 70% end in abortion. Georgia, Eastern Europe. Madagascar. Tanzania, Mozambique, Kenya, Nigeria, Ethiopia. Holy cow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of the top 10 countries with the highest abortion are in Africa. Ethiopia, then number 9 is Vietnam. Number 10 is Russia. Do the top 20. Isn't that sad? We think it's so bad here, and we're not even in the top 10. That's crazy. Yeah, we're all out there, and it's so funny to me. Everybody like you, that's bought into this whole we were using germ warfare and bringing smallpox to kill the Native Americans. It's like, I don't hear any of you guys blaming the Chinese for bringing the smallpox to Europe and causing the Black Death. Was it a third of Europe died? Isn't that right? That was China. Yeah. Why aren't you blaming the yellow man for killing the white man? Not because you blame the white man for killing the red man. And that was like 90% of the deaths were from disease. And it sucks. Look, that's when you have two populations, you know, come together, and one of them brings diseases with them that over the centuries they've developed a immunity to. I didn't say China correctly, sorry. That's just the reality. The yellow man killed, a third of the white men with their germ warfare. Why don't you complain about that? Have you ever once in your entire life even made that point? No, because you don't care. You think it's just a purely like, look at the bad, evil white men spreading germs. It's like, that's so dumb. All right, let's see. Top 20. Let's get past the top 10. All right, 11 to 20 is Kazakhstan, Rwanda, Cuba, South Africa, Azerbaijan, Cameroon, India, Belarus, Romania, Armenia. Holy cow, when do we get to America? All right, do the top 50. Let's see if America's even in the top 50. I'm starting to feel pretty good about America now. As bad as our abortion rates are here, we're not even in the top 20, which makes it... I don't even want to know how many babies around the globe are murdered every day or every year. They thought we will make their air bad, but it was really germs. There was like a single case of somebody thinking that, but usually it's like, dude, the Europeans brought the flu with them. It wasn't smallpox killed all the freaking. It was like, I think it was like one case of I don't want to say it was only one case of smallpox, but I think it was one case of someone who was actively thought about that, the bad air or whatever. All right, 21, Nepal, 22, Zimbabwe, Bulgaria, Ukraine, Moldova, Zambia, Ghana, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. 30, Bangladesh, Colombia, Hungary, Burkina Faso, Mali, Pakistan, Egypt, Peru, Bolivia, Indonesia, Guatemala. Number 40 is Guatemala, Nicaragua, Thailand, Mexico, Morocco. I'm surprised by Mexico. Mexico is like so Catholic. How's Mexico ahead of America? Morocco, Iran, 45. 46, Philippines. 47, Brazil. Turkey, Argentina, Venezuela. When do we get to America? All right, top 100. There aren't even that many countries in the world. How many countries in the world are there? Are we like one of the lowest abortion rate countries in the world? This is getting crazy. The point was they didn't have to understand why or how it was killing people. Well, my point is there was only one case that I'm aware of. I might be wrong. Someone could look it up. But I think there's only one case I'm aware of where someone actually actively tried to do that. The fact that we just ended up sharing. Look, I don't think the Chinese came over and tried to wipe out a third of Europe. Right? It's like I said, it's just cultures meeting. One has immunity, one does not. Did some Chinese guy go like, Oh, we sick. We go make a white man sick. Maybe, but I don't think that's probably the case. Look, like 90% of the Native American tribes that died from disease. You can't blame that all on smallpox and people trying to give smallpox. Like, it was the freaking, it's probably the common cold, honestly. It was the flu, cold, I don't know, diphtheria. Just all these. Micah, your Chinese accent needs work. All right, we're at 50. Let's keep going. 51, Ecuador, Sri Lanka, Kyrgyzstan, Algeria, Myanmar, Iraq, Haiti, Yemen, Afghanistan, Syrian Arab Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Angola, Sudan, South Sudan, Central African Republic, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Chad, Somalia. 70, Niger. 71, China. China is down to 71. Oh, you know why? Because they no longer have the one-child policy. Serbia, North Korea, Turkmenistan, Mongolia, Albania, Bosnia-Herzegovina, North Macedonia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Slovakia, Czechia, Poland, Croatia, Slovenia, Cyprus, Malta, Andorra. 90, San Marino, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Vatican City, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. This can't be right. Where is America on this list? Number is the USA. I'm not even going to keep doing this. I'm just going to. Okay, it says it would rank approximately number 84, but I just went through. Did I miss it? No, number 84 here was Poland. Okay, so I guess we're on par with Poland. 84. Wow, that's insane. I thought America was way worse than that, but I'm kind of wow, I'm of two minds. On the one hand, I'm glad we're not anywhere near to being the worst. And on the second hand, I can't even fathom how many abortions that means happens everywhere else. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Kirby says, you know what I saw on the internets yesterday? Rob Downey Jr. doing his blackface stayed in character, and they have video of him at the hotel drawing on a white dude's back talking about pyramids. The U.S. has lower abortion rates than Vatican City. Did I just skim through Vatican City? No. Vatican City is lower. It's 93. We're in Poland territory, so that's crazy. I said colonized by the sword, and someone said use guns, and then I said use germs. You pick the weirdest things to argue over. Oh, I don't read every single post, so sorry. No, but anyways, I got my message out. I know, so many babies. I know, it's heartbreaking. It's heart-wrenching. Completely. Kirby says, that impersonation is so great. I wonder if he can do other races. What impersonation? Did I impersonate someone? Miss Go Rightly! I protest! Wait, what? Okay. I thought socialists cared about the minority class. Caucasians are liberally 15% of the population of the planet. Stupid takes and this regressing racial guilt to just one melanin group is dumb. Yeah, it really is just a war on whites, isn't it? It's a war on white. and it makes you a gross racist. No, Mike, you're not good at racial impersonations. Whites are 7% of global population. Yeah, y'all are the minority. I'm a mixie. I'm off-white. I did respond to you in Discord finally. Who, me? Dong, where is my automobile? Where? Discord? What? What? Are you a Christian nationalist with Voti Bokum? All right, I'll give that a looky-loo later. Yeah, Zeta posted the thing with the Native Americans and Custer. It's true. I mean, the lionization of the Native Americans as some grand noble group of people. It's like these. I mean, I'm not going to say there weren't nice tribes that weren't bloodthirsty, psychotic savages. There were. I believe the Sioux was one of those. But yeah, by and large, the Native Americans were savages. By definition, they were very, very brutal, one to the other. They were like gangs. Honestly, they were like gangs, kind of the way the gangs treat each other now. So, Stuff and Stuff says, I heard a comparison on abortion and bodily autonomy along the lines of, if you wouldn't force someone to give up a kidney to save another life, you shouldn't force a woman to carry to term. Well, that's a really bad comparison. What makes you think that's a good comparison? A woman has a choice whether or not to get pregnant. And even if you say, okay, we'll exempt rape and incest, nobody, none of the lefties, no one who's pro-abortion will say, okay, good. That's all we wanted, is that if you didn't choose to get pregnant, then you shouldn't have to choose. You shouldn't be forced to keep. No one on the left maintains that. That is not a left-wing position. That is what we call a canard, a red herring that they offer to us to try to disprove or to try to argue that, we should be able to just murder babies in the womb, carte blanche, all the way up until the day before birth. One is an organ, the other is a human life. That's apples to watermelons. They aren't even fruit to fruit comparisons. True. Right? It's like, yeah, a kidney left to nature won't become a distinct human being either. Right. Yeah, it's a bad comparison. There is just no reason. I was watching this this another Jubilee, and it was this one gal. I think it just came out yesterday or the day before. Is one conservative Christian versus 20 liberal Christians, and they were on gay rights and they were on abortion. And I haven't watched the whole thing. I think I'm like halfway through, but she was just mopping the floor. They couldn't come up with any viable arguments, because none of the arguments are viable if you're basing your belief system on the Bible, right? You can't be pro-abortion and actually believe the Bible. You can't be pro-homosexuality and actually believe the Bible, actually believe Christ. Kirby says, one thing I think about is the extreme ends of the Native Americans. Whether peaceful or violent, either approach to their problem did not work, yet we still use both approaches for many of our problems. Both approaches? What do you mean both approaches? I didn't like the comparison either. I do think abortion is a necessary evil. Okay, even if you think it's a necessary evil, are you pro-abortion or are you anti-abortion? Oh, well, I guess if you're saying it's a necessary evil, it's like, I don't like abortion, but I think it's necessary. It's only necessary to save the life of the mother. I will absolutely draw that line. The life of the mother is paramount, right? Although many mothers wouldn't say that. Many mothers would say, "No, I'll die so my child can live." Right? That's being a parent. That's general. I'll die so my kids could live. That's but in the case where that's the thing, that should be the option. Although that has never actually been the case, because especially with modern medicine nowadays, you can C-section, you can deliver the baby. It's like decimating an unborn child is never actually necessary for that. But again, the argument, is it necessary? If that was necessary, then I would agree that would be necessary, because one life, that's self-preservation, self-defense. But there's no such thing as a necessary abortion in any other case. So how is it a necessary evil in any other case, is my question to you, Stuff and Stuff. I hate being gross about it, but what's wrong with women just keeping their legs shut, or for men keeping it in their pants? How about that? I know, right? Well, here's the thing, Tina. See, in 1953, we took the Bible out of schools. And then there was this generational progression to the point where now men come on here and argue with me that they're women. Remember the good old days where men dressed up as women and they're like, yeah, I'm just dressing up as a woman because I'm a transvestite, but I'm clearly still a man. Remember the good old days when a man pretending to be a woman or pretending to be a woman didn't actually think in their brain they were a woman? That's because we took the Bible out of schools in 1953. I'm just going to tell you that right now. If Jesus fulfilled the laws, then why is being gay still bad? Because a fulfillment of the law means removing the punishment of that law. It doesn't change the moral value of that law. Is it still bad to steal, corpse grinder? Is it still bad to lie, corpse grinder? Is it still bad to commit adultery or murder or lust or all the other moral sins? Are they still bad? Yes. But Jesus fulfilled the law in that he took the punishment from it. That doesn't make it good. Come on, you know better than that. He didn't say he came to abolish the law. He literally said, I come not to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. Both approaches, like we try to tackle things peacefully and expect a good outcome, and we still use violence too. Oh. Yeah, I guess those are the only two options, huh? Peace or a sword. How is killing a child ever necessary? Well, I mean, they killed Christ. He was God's child. Being gay is bad for society. You don't replace yourself. Yeah, and we really need to turn that boat around and get to replacing. I'm doing my part. I now have 7 descendants. 1's still in the womb, so I'll still call it 8. I am doing my part to replenish the earth. The good old days when men dressed like women were in hair metal band or Monty Python skit. There you go. So they aren't going to be punished for it. No. See, the punishment of the law was death, right? Like right then and there. The punishment, the long-term effect is you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven, or you will not be resurrected into the eternal life with Christ. So it is your own choice, but the the prescriptive punishment was about the law in that time. So, like if you were caught in adultery, they would stone you to death. If you were caught doing the gay stuff, they would stone you to death, right? If you prophesied and your prophecies didn't come true, they would stone you to death. If you claimed to speak for God and what you said didn't come to pass, they would stone you to death. That's the punishment. He fulfilled that punishment. But there's an eternal end that's different from the actual law. He wrote, instead of the law being on stone and the punishment being in the flesh, which doesn't necessarily mean that that a governmental body doesn't have the right to do that. But that's different from your eternal what is the word? Destination? I get that works fine to me. I know, Tina, I know. All right, we gotta get going. Thanks for everything. You know what? Let me hit stuff and stuff. What about the story of Abraham and the potential sacrifice of Isaac? Right. Well, you are aware that God knew that he wasn't going to let Abraham actually sacrifice Isaac, right? You don't have to replace yourself if you want to force birth. Someone has to raise the unwanted children. There are no unwanted children. There's way more people on the adoption waiting list than there are adoptable kids. Stop murdering your children, and other people will adopt them. All right. That's it. Thanks everybody for being here. God bless. What is that? Why is my hair look like I got a rash coming up on my head? Sorry about the Roddy Pipers. No worries. All right. God bless you guys. We'll see you on the next exciting episode of Cross Examinations.